Let's jump right in. The internet has essentially been a breeding ground for some of the strangest, most deeply unsettling mysteries in human history. We're talking about disturbing, unexplained television broadcasts, anonymous messages appearing in the dead of night, hidden websites lurking just out of sight, and terrifying digital legends that keep you up at night. For years, literally nobody knew the truth behind them. Millions of everyday people collaborated, investigated, and obsessed over these digital cold cases, desperate for any kind of answer. And eventually, well, the answers were discovered.
Okay, let's dive into this. What actually happens when the internet's darkest mysteries are finally dragged out into the light? You might think that solving a mystery brings some sense of relief, but honestly, as we're going to see in this explainer, some of these solved answers are actually way more unsettling than the unknown ever was. We're going to look at the evidence, track the investigations, and reveal the grounded, real-world truth behind the internet's creepiest solved files. Mystery number 1, the broadcast hijacker.
All right, picture this. It's 1987 in Chicago. You're sitting in your living room, just casually watching local television, when out of nowhere, the signal is aggressively taken over. Viewers suddenly saw a man in a rigid, super creepy Max Headroom rubber mask. He hijacked 2 completely different stations with distorted audio, just chaotic laughter, and absolute nonsense. Nobody had a clue who he was, and the sudden, invasive intrusion left the public deeply unnerved.
Because the interruption only lasted a matter of minutes, the panicked public went into total overdrive. The theories were wild. People were asking, was this a highly coordinated hacker group just showing off? A bizarre psychological government experiment? Or, as some genuinely feared at the time, some sort of cryptic cult message. For decades, the whole thing remained totally unsolved. But here's the factual hammer. Investigators eventually concluded that it was most likely pulled off by local video engineers. These were people with highly advanced broadcasting knowledge who just decided to execute an incredibly elaborate prank. But here is exactly why this remains so creepy. Even with that entirely logical explanation, today, decades later, nobody has ever officially confessed. The true identity of the man behind that mask is still a literal ghost story. Moving on to mystery number 2, the cryptic puzzle. So, in 2012, an event happened that sent the internet into an absolute frenzy. It all kicked off with a single, highly unusual image posted online, hiding this exact quote: "We are looking for highly intelligent individuals." It turns out a complex secret code was embedded within the image itself, serving as the hook for a highly mysterious group calling itself Cicada 3301. And this brilliantly illustrates just how deep the rabbit hole went. Thousands tried solving it, but it was massive. Step 1 required decoding highly encrypted messages, which pushed users to uncover hidden websites on the dark web for Step 2. Then, by Step 3, the digital hunt forced people out into the real world, literally hunting down physical clues at specific GPS coordinates across the globe. Finally, Step 4 involved dialing secret phone numbers for incredibly advanced cryptography challenges. Almost nobody succeeded. The intense complexity of this puzzle caused paranoia to just absolutely explode across forums. And looking at the sheer scale of it, you can totally understand why. People were convinced this was secret government recruitment, maybe the NSA or CIA hunting for top-tier talent. Others swore it was a dangerous hacker organization, rogue intelligence agencies, or even highly sophisticated dark web cults initiating new members. But years later, researchers managed to ground the truth. It wasn't the CIA, and it definitely wasn't some malicious dark web cult. Cicada 3301 was likely a private, heavily cryptography-focused group simply searching for elite programmers and codebreakers to join their private, privacy-focused projects. But what's the catch? Nobody truly knows the specific identities of the creators. The true face of Cicada 3301 still haunts the internet to this day. Mystery number 3, the cursed image. Now, what's really interesting about this one is how it tapped directly into primal digital fears back in the early days of internet forums. Known as Smile Dog, this was a deeply disturbing image of a dog sitting in a dark room with an entirely unnatural human-like grin. The legend claimed anyone who saw the original image would suffer horrific nightmares, and the only way to save yourself was to forward it to someone else. People were genuinely terrified to click on links just out of pure fear of seeing it. To understand how something like this blew up, we really have to look at the internet culture of that era. This was the golden age of the creepypasta. For those uninitiated, a creepypasta is basically defined as fictional, horror-related legends or stories that are copied and pasted around the web.
Think of them as modern campfire stories. They're entirely designed to be shared, altered, and presented to you as if they're 100% real.
For years, users scoured the darkest corners of the web searching for the original, unedited, cursed image. But eventually, internet investigators unmasked the reality. The deadly cursed image was nothing more than a completely fictional story, just a classic creepypasta. The image was heavily photoshopped, but here's the major takeaway. Despite being entirely fake, it successfully terrified an entire generation of internet users. It absolutely proved that a well-crafted digital lie can feel just as dangerous as the truth.
Mystery number 4, the bizarre video channel.
Fast forward to 2013. An automated channel called WebDriver Torso suddenly appears on YouTube. Imagine just scrolling through the platform and stumbling upon this. The channel was uploading literally thousands of videos, sometimes churning out one every few minutes. And every single video was totally abstract. It showed nothing but red and blue rectangles, changing sizes, accompanied by high-pitched robotic beeping sounds and entirely random geometric patterns. It was clinical, completely devoid of humanity, and it immediately sent the internet into a panic.
The sheer volume and that robotic nature of the uploads caused an absolute explosion of conspiracy theories, particularly across Reddit. People were frantically trying to decode the beeps. They thought it was a secret number station for government communication, or, get this, maybe even alien signals being broadcast right through our own infrastructure. Others suspected dark web messaging hiding in plain sight, or rogue AI experiments that had somehow escaped into the public servers. The internet was totally on edge, desperate for a translation.
So how did the truth finally come out? Google themselves actually stepped in and revealed the answer. It wasn't aliens, it wasn't the dark web. WebDriver Torso was simply an internal testing system used by Google to check YouTube's video and audio uploading quality. It was a completely automated, unexpectedly boring factual answer. Yet when you contrast that mundane truth with those inherently creepy, robotic visuals, honestly, watching those videos today still feels deeply unsettling.
Mystery number 5, the Mercenary job board.
I want to slow down a bit here, because this might honestly be the darkest mystery we cover in this entire explainer. It all began when a Reddit user stumbled upon a seemingly harmless image hosting website, but hidden deep inside the source code were cryptic job postings. We're talking specific geographic coordinates, hidden payment numbers, and heavy military jargon. This was stark, undeniable evidence of something highly organized operating just beneath the surface. Internet detectives pored over every single line of code, every forum post, and every linked user account they could find. And the conclusions they drew from these coded messages, absolutely terrifying. Based on the specific language and the targets mentioned, people firmly believed the website was secretly connected to a real-world ring of assassins, private mercenaries, or even off-the-books government hitmen who were using the site to anonymously distribute contracts.
After years of intense collective investigation, researchers finally arrived at the most likely conclusion. It probably wasn't a shadowy ring of government hitmen. Instead, the website was likely tied to a group of former military workers involved in highly discreet private security operations. But here's the thing. Many of the specific details, those exact coordinates, and the money transfers, they were never fully explained, leaving a very lingering, very real doubt that something much darker might still be happening behind the scenes. The internet remembers everything, every hidden message, every unexplained broadcast, and there's always someone out there trying to solve it. But as we've seen today, every time you fall down a late-night internet rabbit hole, there is usually a grounded truth waiting for you at the bottom. And sometimes realizing that these bizarre events are orchestrated by real people, real engineers, real security contractors, real puzzle makers is honestly way more disturbing than the wild theories ever were.
So the next time you find yourself clicking on a strange link at 2 a.m. or trying to decode some cryptic image you found deep on a forum, just be careful what you search for. The answers are absolutely out there, yes, but you really have to ask yourself, are you truly prepared for what you might actually find? Because sometimes, not every mystery wants to be solved.